Today I didn't really have a topic to talk about, so I thought I'd discuss something really interesting that I learned over the last couple of days. So a girl that I work with, her name is Erin, she's reading a book called First Break All the Rules. And when I look up the author on Google, I will put the notes down there. It's a book I'm actually going to borrow from my mom because now that I've heard Erin talk about it, I'm interested in reading it. But it's not a book that I've read the entirety of, so I don't know a lot about it. All I know is what Erin's been telling me and a small section that I read. And that section talks about talent versus skills. And this was really, really interesting to me. And it was the idea that a lot of things that managers and sort of people above in the workplace think are skills are actually talents. And the difference between a talent and a skill is that a talent is something that you intrinsically know how to do. And when I say talent, people think like, oh, like somebody who is a savant at playing the violin, or like Michael Jordan has a serious talent for basketball. And yes, that's true, those are talents, but that's not exactly what we mean. Sometimes talents can be mundane things, like the ability to figure out a brain teaser. And this is what the book does. So it presents a brain teaser and asks you if you can figure out what the phrase is based on this word it shows you. And I happened to get that pretty quickly. Erin discussed that it took her a while. Then it proceeds to show you how to identify the phrase inside of that word. And then it gives you a couple more examples of a similar idea. So that phrase is identified by finding out what's different about the word and then looking at its placement to decide what the phrase is. Then it presents ideas that are the same way. And by the second or third one, you've got it. And you're like, oh yeah, I've learned how to solve these puzzles. Then it presents a word puzzle that doesn't follow those rules, and people are stumped again. And that's because I taught you a skill, and the skill was how to solve logic puzzles that are specifically built the way that one was built. The talent is the ability to solve logic puzzles, and that's the difference. And I thought that that was fascinating, and it got me thinking a lot about something that happened at Celebration of Harry Potter weekend. So I'm a tour guide, and tour guide's job is to stand in front of a group of people and tell them about the park. Especially on non-private educational tours, you're spieling for long periods of time, basically giving a speech about the history of the park or how a ride works or the story of a ride, all sorts of stuff like that. I'm used to it. It's what I do. I personally am a public speaker. It's a talent that I have. You put me up in front of a room of people and I'll talk about anything. Give me a speech, that's great. Don't give me a speech, I can probably make stuff up. I'm completely comfortable in a room of 5 people and in a room of 100 people. No problem. That's because it's my talent. Some people in my job, being a tour guide is a skill. We've trained them on how to conduct tours, how to say the things that we've taught them to the groups of people that they do it to. Then we go to something like Celebration of Harry Potter, where the parameters are generally the same. You're speaking to a group of people, but the actual content and the actual act of it has changed completely. The rules have completely changed. It's a completely different group of people. It's a completely different type of speech. It involves interaction in a very different way. It involves scripted presentation as opposed to off-the-cuff presentation. And it's just drastically pretty different, even if from the outside it looks like the same thing. And there are people who freeze up and who get to that part and they're like, I don't know, I can't, what? And it blew my mind. But it's because they have a skill. So they didn't come in as public speakers. They came in as people who wanted to be tour guides. We trained them and gave them the skill to be a VIP tour guide, but we didn't give them the talent to be a public speaker because it's something you either have or you don't. So it's kind of cool to look at the difference between talents and skills. And the book is focused on being a manager. And so it talks about looking for the people in your company who have those talents and remembering that like the best thing to do is to pull those talents out of the people who have them and to find the people with those talents to fit them in where you need them. And then train skills if you need to, but you can probably find somebody who's talented in that area. And I thought that was kind of cool. And I thought the idea of talents versus skills was really interesting because there are definitely things that I have a skill at, but not a talent. Languages, for example. I can learn languages by immersion and repetition and memorization. I have learned languages, but I don't have a talent for it. Language doesn't come easy to me. I can't just pick up any language off the ground and learn it. Like, I have to spend some time and really study. But there are people who just have a talent for language. So let me know down in the comments if there's something that you have a talent for, and if there's something that you have learned as a skill that you're realizing you don't have that intrinsic talent for, and that if they changed all the rules on you, you probably wouldn't be able to do it. I'm just really interested. So let me know about your talents and your skills, and I'll see you tomorrow.